so grateful to be back in this place and back in the company of a lot of old friends. Rick, thank you very much for your invitation. And I won't say that I go looking for opportunities to come to Washington, D.C. Quite the contrary. Come here under duress, and only when duty requires. But since it required, I'm awfully glad I had the chance for this little reunion and to talk about some things that I bet are on your mind. They seem to be on the mind of every Republican I know these days. You know, my visits to Washington, I notice these days take on more and more the character of a visit to a zoo. Sort of drift from place to place, observing this and that strange subculture. Very interesting thing to do. This particular organization, which I've been a faithful follower of for a long, long time, and a beneficiary of your programs on many occasions, being beleaguered cannot be a new feeling. If I guess correctly, this has been a brave organization on what I know many times has felt like a lonely mission. You ought to feel a little less lonely these days, because Republicans of every stripe, even those who haven't been part of Ripon before, have that sensation of being an endangered species. So I gather that the assignment this morning is to offer a few thoughts, and then let's just talk about our party and where it is, where it's going. And I'm going to try to leave you with some optimistic views, which come naturally, I suppose, but I think I can document the reasons why they might be appropriate even this hour. You know, we got to lose our Rodney Dangerfield mentality to start with. You know, every Republican I know these days reminds me. He used to say that, you know, he got the Publishers Clearinghouse card in the mail and it said, "You could already be a loser." I mean, I don't think that that is our lot at all, and I'm going to give you a few thoughts about why. Emerson wrote that in every polity, in every political system, there tends to be a party of memory and a party of hope. And in some countries, that may be a fair balance, a fair contest. But in the American system, in which people have always looked forward, as it's been written, Americans, unlike some nationalities, have always expected the future to be better. We don't have a golden age in our past that we look back nostalgically to. And so you better be the party of hope, I believe, if you want to be successful and earn the opportunity to lead a country or our country or some subdivision of it. And we're all thinking these days about how our party might recover its footing, around what principles we might organize, around what the principles don't change, at least around what new ambitions and proposals and agendas we might recover more of the confidence of our fellow citizens. And my thoughts about this are fairly simple. I hope you don't find them banal. I think that, however, that they go along these lines. The republicanism that recovers in this country, and it will. Our country and our system always finds an equilibrium and demands the competition of two alternative offerings. So it's only a question of when and how, and then incidentally who. I hear too many Republicans these days want to start with the who, you know, like sort of find anybody. I don't think it's the right question. The who will show up sooner than you think. Probably people we're not talking about or whose names we don't know yet. Let's leave that aside for now. It'll happen on its own, in its own time and its own motor. When I think about the Republican Party that can be very politically successful and do good things for this country once again, it will have to be forward-looking and very constructive. Hell no is not an appealing political message. At the very, very best, it's an incomplete one. Here's a better idea, is a much better point of departure idea. We will have to be a party that is connected, truly and genuinely, to the aspirations and the real-world problems of real-world people. And this takes some work. I've been trying to get the message across to Republicans for a long time that we have to recognize and then deal with a very special burden. That burden is the presumption that we're the party of the affluent, we're the party of fortunate, that we don't understand, let alone empathize. The word is getting a bad repute these days. But empathy is a good thing, particularly in the elected branch of government, with average people. And as I've observed on other occasions, in American politics, you can be a blue blood, silver spoon, prep school, coastal elitist, and if you have the Democratic label, you are presumed to be connected to average folks and to understand them and to be their tribute, and vice versa if you're a Republican. And that's so we can say, well, that's unfair, that's inaccurate, crude, stereotype, profiling, but it's a reality. So we have to deal with it. And the next generation of Republicans, I think, will get out and deal with it. We've certainly tried in our own way in Indiana. I don't pretend to have ever to understand fully enough what's in the hearts and on the worry lists of my fellow citizens, but believe me, we work at it. And I stay overnight in people's homes, and I travel all the time, and I go into places that try to meet people on their own territory. And never, ever to be outflanked by an opponent who just says, well, you don't know, so you couldn't care. The next Republican majority will have to emphasize those things that unite us as a people, as opposed to those things about which we are in conflict or divided. So you can quickly think of your own examples about this, but obvious as this may be, it seems to me that this is a message I've never heard Dick Lugar speak divisively. I was going to reserve my tribute to him to the end, but he's just so on point in so many of these ways that the whole concept of a wedge issue should be foreign to us if we really want to come back. We've got a tall mountain to climb. We not only are out of favor right now, but the demography of this country is not moving in a positive way. You're standing on the political base that's left to us. So we better be thinking about those things that unite us, and we better be extraordinarily understanding of those who disagree. Bend over backward. I mean, we're all Americans for one thing, and we're all Republicans too. And so, lastly, I want to say that the next Republican majority, or its representatives, not to be trivial about it, but ours needs to be a friendly sort of politics. People have to like you a little bit before they'll listen to you, or at least they can't actively dislike you.